You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Let's get spooky. This is our station, Boo, where we explore the dark and mysterious corners of the world of horror, and we know that you are dying to listen.
And welcome to the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo, where we talk all things horror. Introducing our haunted host with the mosty most, we have our lovely Lysa.
Hello, groovy ghoulies.
We have our kick-ass Karan.
What up, my horrorholics?
I am your spooky Shannon, and today we are going to be talking about season 1 of Grim and Mild's Bridgewater. So let's get spooky.
Hey horrorholics, it's time for the Ghastly Report. Stay tuned for all the fun, spine-tingling news happening in horror today, from new releases to spooky events and so much more.
Hey horrorholics, it's Shannon. Earth Station Boo has just launched its brand new merch store. It's time to get your hands on some killer gear. From our fun logo shirts, cozy hoodies, Let's Get Spooky stickers, and Horrorholics Anonymous totes, there's something for every one of our lovely little ghouls. We offer our spooky designs on many different types of products to fit your desires. But if you happen to see a missed opportunity, just let us know. And unlike most of Stephen King's adaptations, you know what I'm talking about, you won't be disappointed with the quality of the products. Head over to our link tree in our bio, grab your merch, show off your favorite horror podcast, and most of all, let's get spooky. All right, it is the Ghastly Report. So we're just going to talk about some cool, fun stuff going on. And it is Mother's Day weekend. So we got some cool, fun things. Lysa, what do you have on the docket?
It is the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And they're doing a special 4K Ultra HD restoration.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I love the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Back in the day, I'm going to age myself, ha ha ha. I used to do the makeup for Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Coconut Grove Theater in Miami. And I have seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show live over 400 times. So it is very special to me. Even though I have like 5 copies of the movie, I'm going to buy this just so I can buy it.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to see Tim Curry in 4K Ultra HD?
Ooh, sexy.
Or, anybody else in the film. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Susan Sarandon, she's pretty hot too.
If I were into girls, she would not be my thing. But I'm glad she's somebody's thing. Yeah.
Oh, Rocky.
Oh yeah, Rocky.
Yeah.
Rocky.
Definitely not Meatloaf though. No, thank you.
Yeah. But what about Brad?
Nowadays he's pretty handsome. Back then he's kind of nerdy looking.
So the nerds don't do it for you, Lysa?
It depends on the nerd.
As Karen just sits there and shakes her head at us. She's like, I am not having this conversation.
How about Riff Raff?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, no thank you. But he's a great composer, I'll tell you that.
He is. I've actually thought, I had like the whole like time warp dance thing, because they even have like other little things other than like the time warp portion. But I had like the whole thing done at one point in time, and I was part of like a crew that would do it every once in a while at the live shows. We'd come down the aisles and do it. But,
that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is my jam. I really love the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky Horror is awesome. We'll have to do an episode on it.
Absolutely.
Karen, what about you? What fun nuggets of news do you have?
Well, y'all remember that movie Dawn of the Dead, the 1978 version?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently Walmart bought the iconic mall.
What?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. They might demo it. They might keep it as is. But more than likely, they're going to probably demo it. But, because it's Walmart, they don't think of like the whole historical, cultural value that the mall
Mm-hmm.
has in the movie industry. Also, there's a museum inside for George Romero.
Oh
Uh,
no.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, not really happy about that.
So the link that we have shared for this nugget of news is from Fangoria, and supposedly in that article there is a link for a petition to basically urge Walmart not to tear it down. So if you are a massive Dawn of the Dead fan and you really don't want to see that iconic mall get torn down, you can check out that link.
I mean, that's like my favorite of the Dead movies
Mm-hmm.
because it takes place in just like Night of the Living Dead. It takes place in a circular one, location. And for me, Dawn of the Dead, you experience like the harshness of racism, the battle to survive, and the slowing, the madness that's coming because you think you're invincible, but you're not invincible because hey, you're human and when you get bit, you're gonna turn.
Yeah.
Like my favorite character was Ken Fourier, I think that's what his name is. The black dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character because he's like the realist, man. Peter. He's like the realist, and then that bond that he had with the character Roger. They're like brothers in arms. And I don't know if I could take out my brother in arm like that, like he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then him and Franny going off in the distance together. I'm like, I'm glad that Black man survived. Yay! But I would love to see like what had happened to him. Like, did they get to an island? Did they create like a whole structure for themselves? Like, what happened?
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
But it was actually that was one of the movies that I grew up with and I enjoyed to this day. Like even though the makeup is not the greatest because time, technology, blah 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 blah, better techniques, it still hold up to me. For me, it still hold up because it's one of the most iconic movies that Romero has, along with Night of the Living Dead.
So
Save my childhood.
Right.
Right.
I mean, what mall do you have that has like freaking siding, a hardware store in it with siding and paint and drywall, and then down over here you have hunting? Like what? What mall has this?
And I mean, like, I feel like this kind of then becomes we should probably actually do this. Places that are scenes from horror movies that are being threatened. Because like you even have like the person who lives in the Freddy Krueger house wants nothing to do with Nightmare fans, where he's like, stay away from my yard, don't take pictures of my house. Like he even repainted it, like the door, so the doors are no longer red. And it's like
then why'd you
moved into
there?
an iconic house.
Yeah.
Like I get
God.
it. You're buying a house because you need a house to live in. But like if okay, this house is a known house. It gets tourists. It has why would you buy it? Because it was all disclosed to him. It wasn't like he didn't know that this was the case. And so there's like all sorts of cases like this where it's like a piece of property that's well known to horror fans gets sold, and then it's like it goes.
It kind of reminds me of like A Christmas Story. That house is still standing, but the person who owns it, he turned it into like a museum or something.
Yeah, the Home Alone house. Same.
You mean
thing.
mansion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mansion.
I want to know what that.
Like, there's a lot of iconic like film houses and stuff like that, and I'm okay with them being like residential places, but like you have to be a little bit more discerning on who moves in. It has to be somebody who's going to respect the fact that there are going to be maybe some people who are not going to respect the privacy, but like they need to be understanding of that and be fully aware and accepting of the fact that a fan base loves it. And
Dude,
I'm not saying fans go and be disrespectful to any of the people who live in these iconic places. Please give them their privacy because that's not cool. But
I'm gonna let y'all know if I ever have the money and buy me an iconic house, y'all could come visit me. I have some tea for you. Like, hey, can we tour your house? Yes, this is the original bedroom. I kept it the way it was, but this is my bedroom. You can't go in that bedroom. Look at the backyard. I kept the backyard the same. I like it. I like coming out here, sitting in the gazebo. I'll have tours. It's like, do y'all want to rent a room for the night? Okay, we can do that. We can do that. Let's talk about that.
There would be signs that I won the lottery.
Oh yeah, there'll be signs.
Yeah. Same.
Like, Karen, what are you doing? Shut up. It's my house.
You have the Freddy Krueger house with the car in the driveway and turn it into a museum. Yeah.
It'd be like, Lisa, did you really buy the Shining Hotel? Damn straight I did.
But Karen, did you buy the Amityville house? Yes. Yes, I did.
They actually repainted it. I saw that.
Yeah, they did. And it's still up for sale, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is. But I feel like that house is like always on sale.
Yeah.
Always for sale, I should say. Like every other year, somebody puts it back up. So the next piece of fun news for all of our horrorholics who can't get enough horror, and so they have to go to conventions and fun events. Guess what? There is a brand new event for us. It is being touted as the world's first global convention inspired by the spirit of Halloween. It is going to be called Hallow Scream Con. It's going to take place in Las Vegas, the Sin City. And the first one is going to be October 1st through 4th, 2026, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
The
cool.
Deadline announced it. It's being put together by Screen Masters International. Yeah. So I'm kind of excited to see how it goes. There's a small part of me who really, really, really wants to go. And I might be like, hey guys, this is my birthday present.
Hey, guess what? Las Vegas is only 6 hours away from me.
There you go.
And so you guys come up, we do a little trip.
Right? That'd be fun. And it's a year and a half away. So got time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got time. I'm pretty excited about that one. And fans, if there are cons that you guys really love and that you think we would love, please share them. And we are kind of spread out across the country a tiny kind of bit. So doesn't really matter which coast, let us know. We're always up for a good con. But it is Mother's Day weekend. So with that being the case, here are some Mother's Day related-esque movies that are horror movies. And a show. We did pop a show in there because the mom is kind of badass. Because how can we not just fall in love with some of the amazing women that we find in horror? And whether or not the mom is a good mom or a bad mom, all that matters is that it's got a mom and she's doing something. So the first one on the list, Karen, which one is it?
Babadook. I hated the kid in that movie. I'm sorry.
Oh, me too.
No, same. But I don't really like most kids, so there's a reason why I'm child free. The next one is The Shining, which is a pretty fantastic one with a badass mom, even though she had to fight off her crazy possessed husband. Lisa, what's the next one?
The next one is Hereditary.
Ooh.
That is a great movie, and it's creepy, and everything's fucked up in it. So if you have a little trauma with your mother, you might want to think about it before you watch it.
Yeah.
It got me a little bit.
Who wants to get the next one?
That'll be Psycho. Psycho, yeah.
Psycho? Mm-hmm. Yep. Which one's next?
The next one is The Lodge.
It is.
I still haven't seen that, but
those 5 movies were
on ihorror.com, they had a here's 5 movies to watch for Mother's Day, and those were their picks. I think those were some pretty decent picks. I like how they went from like badass moms to terrifying mothers and even a couple of dead ones. So, and mothers who live inside their sons' imaginations. So, now here are some other ones that are part of a longer list of movies that have moms in them. A few of these are also from ihorror.com. They had a separate list that were modern horror moms that we love to death, which is a weird title, but okay. What is this next one? Karen?
Carrie?
Yeah. And we all know where we stand on the mother when it comes to Carrie. If you don't know where we stand, go back, listen to our Carrie versus Carrie episode. You'll hear all about it and which one was our favorite. Alrighty. The next one is A Quiet Place. Again, another badass mom. I mean, you can give birth silently. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
I'll have your foot like bleeding out too.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
And keeping the baby quiet.
Yep. What's the next one, Lisa?
It is Get Out.
Yeah.
That was really good.
It was a good movie. The mother was okay. I wouldn't have put it on the Mother's Day list, but it's me.
Well, it's the mothers of horror or modern horror. So it is a mom. She's in a modern horror. They're kind of giving it to her. I mean, if you're talking about whether or not a mom is a good mom or a bad mom, there's a few of these moms that should not be on the list then.
Yeah.
True.
After that, we do have the Addams Family because, of course, Morticia is a fantastic mother. Whether her children believe it or not, she does love them dearly. Karen, what's the next one we got on the list?
Have Stranger Things. You mean Winona Ryder did a great job as the mother in that one.
Oh, yeah, she did. Yeah. And actually, you know what? The other mom, Mrs. Wheeler, wasn't half bad. Is she a great mom? No. But she would fight for her kids. She would go full on mama bear for her babies.
I mean, yeah, true. But, this list, it's okay. All right. There are some movies I would include in there, like Happy Mother's Day or Mother's Day, the 1980 version.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was Goodnight Mother.
Good Night Mommy. Yeah.
Good Night Mommy. Yeah. That's
and both versions are. The first one's creepier because she doesn't talk. Second one is not as creepy.
Lisa, I know that before we started tonight, you were saying that there was one that you were like, why isn't this one on the list? And I'm like, I just pulled a few.
No, it's all good. It's the Mother. It's called Mother. And it's just phenomenal. It's got that hot Brazilian guy in it too. That's probably one of the reasons I watched it. Besides that, but it's really good. It's psychological messed up. I want to know what this director did and how he got into my brain. But she does really good. And Michelle Pfeiffer's in it. And she plays evil like there's no tomorrow. It's just a really
Is it the
good
one
film.
with Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Javier, I think.
Javier, yes.
Javier Bardem?
Javier Benicio?
Burnham.
Yeah. Burnham.
I mean, yeah. And then you have
The
Rosemary's
things I would do to that
Baby.
man.
Yes. And Apartment 7A.
There was like good mothers. I'm like, that's a small list here. There's like some other.
Oh yeah. I mean, the
Serial killer mom.
The one article, the Modern Horror Mothers article, has like a slew of them. But I only picked up to 10 because I was like, there is no way I'm going to be able to like list all of the great like Mother's Day type movies or even great mothers in horror. Like we have Krampus. There was 2 moms in that one. And we've already reviewed that.
Aliens.
Ouija,
yeah. Serial mom.
Yep.
The Witch,
The
yeah.
Witch. Mm-hmm.
The Conjuring, because technically Lorraine Warren is a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a ton of moms in horror. So, our lovely little ghouls, let us know which mom in horror is your favorite. I mean, we even forgot about Mama Voorhees.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah.
Like, the one where the mom is the serial killer.
Oh,
Yeah.
another one that most people don't remember. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah.
yes. With Rebecca De Mornay, or however you pronounce her name.
The Omen.
Oh, the Omen, yeah. A lot of the Omens you have to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you might as well.
A lot of the Omens, yeah.
Oh, don't forget the Guardian. It was like kind of a Celtic tree creature that was like an Annie, and it was trying to steal the baby, and the mom was. It's been a long time since I saw it. I saw it in the movie theater, but I haven't been able to find that movie. But that was a good one. There's lots of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And we could do a whole episode on that. So our lovely little ghouls, tell us, what is your favorite mother in horror, and what is your go-to Mother's Day horror movie? Please tell us. We actually would really love to know that, because then next year we could do one of those for our Mother's Day episode, which would be so cool. So with that, come and check out our friends at the ESO Network and stay tuned for Bridgewater Season 1.
For over 200 episodes, the 42 Cast has brought you interviews, topics, and reviews that are unequaled anywhere on the internet. And that's not going to change. That's right, if you want to listen to a bunch of geeks talk about a random geeky topic and have a lot of fun doing so, then the 42 Cast is the show for you. It's your ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything. You can only find all this awesome as part of the ESO Network.
So, Grim and Mild created a show called Bridgewater. Karen was ever so kind to add it to our must review list. And it is created by Aaron Mahnke. You might know him from Lore. He's the creator of that. And then the writer and director of the first season is Lauren Shippen. You might know her from the Bright Sessions. She also did some writing for Marvels. So let's dive into this fun podcast topic. Let's go ahead and start with our initial thoughts. Karen, since you brought this one to our attention, you get to start.
Oh, I enjoy this podcast. I went in thinking like it was like, because I do like a lot of true crime listening podcasts. And I was like, oh, maybe this is about true crime. I didn't read it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started listening to it and I was like, oh, it's a story. Is that Misha Collins? This triangle? Is there such thing as a triangle? And I had to look it up. It's actually a real place.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the folklore that the writers brought into this, and I enjoyed the voice acting that they got. It's just a very amazing experience just to listen to and immerse yourself into this horror, this folk horror.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Lysa, how about you?
Oh, absolutely. I started listening to it and I just got absorbed and sucked into the whole world. It had enough of the true crime with the kind of X-Files-y folk horror feels.
Mm-hmm.
I love the voice actors. I love the tension, and it is so great. I mean, it has you waiting. And then when they end, it's like, wait, I want more. And you just keep wanting more. And it's a great, the storytelling itself is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Totally 100% recommend it. Oh, and the the surround thing. Oh my God. Creepy as heck.
Yeah, no, this was a fun listen. I actually breezed through it in like 2 days. I think I listened to the entire first and second season. There are 2 seasons. We're only recovering the first one.
Waiting for season 3 though.
Right. And I just really enjoyed listening to it. It was good stories. There were a few times where I was like, guys, like you're making issues out of things that, like, if I had Bigfoot coming up after me, I would not be making an issue of. Like, that happened a few times where I was just like, I, I don't think I agree with you guys on how you're reacting here. But, to each their own. Everybody reacts in their own different ways. But a lot of this kind of reminded me of another podcast that I actually would really love for us to do called Tanis. There was a lot of things that I was like, ooh, there's some similarities here, and I'm digging it. Like, I love Tanis, so I was like, this is great. This is right up my alley. I'm interested to see where they continue on with the story, and especially with the characters and how they have progressed throughout both seasons, but specifically through this first season. It's kind of cool to see where they started from and where they're ending. But like Karan said, this podcast audio fiction is actually based off of a real thing. Up in Massachusetts, there is a section that is called the Bridgewater Triangle. It is infamous for its real life paranormal legends. If there is something supernatural or out of this world, it happens there. There are alien sightings, there's Bigfoot, there's pugwedgies, and all sorts of things, ghost stories. They have the red-headed hitchhiker and all sorts of stuff. So what do we find that, like, because I know we all kind of did a little bit of research and we heard about this Bridgewater Triangle. What do we like about the fact that they took a real life thing that people could research and experience and used it in this story? Lysa, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I like the whole spirit light things, the balls of light, and the black dogs. I've always been fascinated with that kind of stuff, and kind of the vortexy thing. I mean, I've heard about this and I did a little research on it. It was creepy. So, that kind of gave it, I don't know, because I've always liked folk horror, and I've always liked cryptid type of stuff like this. And I've always been fascinated with the orbs for some reason. Those have always fascinated me. They're like some kind of weird energy that you see and you hear things. So that's my opinion.
Yeah. Karan, how about you?
What I find inspirational about this whole thing is the fact that the writers were able to pull the folklore, the incidences from Bridgewater, and to make it into something that could happen in this fiction. Like, what if there is a group of occultists that's, doing something weird and woo-woo-y in the woods? And the fact that, they use native legends as well makes it seem, very personable, modern, balances it really well, because you get to hear a little bit more about, the native traditions and lore that they have. And the fact that, Jeremy doesn't go to the linguist, you're like, but there's a linguist right there. Why are you going to the other? Okay, whatever. But, the fact that you hear that,
Jeremy.
You hear that, the native language gets eradicated and revived. So this story was really good at bringing folk horror to mainstream for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the respect that they had to the folklore and to the legends, and especially when it came to the Wapano people and their history in the Bridgewater Triangle. They showed massive respect to how they handled it. Even not just so much like they themselves, but how they made their characters interact with it, where there was a reverence to those who had been there long before they came about, which you don't always get that in stories like this. And I think that was absolutely amazing. With obviously Jeremy Bradshaw being a folklore mythology professor, he already has like a type of respect for it, even if he is skeptical. But I like how they stayed true to a lot of the legends and how they incorporated them in the what if. There's very few like interviews you can find on this podcast, but I was able to find one with Aaron Mackey and one with Lauren Shippen. The one with Lauren Shippen, she actually talked about how Aaron was actually kind of from that area, so he knew quite a bit of it about the lore, and he has the podcast Lore, and which is a massive hit. And so he's that guy that will just dig for all the fun information. So they had a lot of research already to make sure that they were respectful to that area and that it wasn't just used as a easy location. It's a no, we know what they talk about that happens in this area, and so we will bring that into the story. So I think that's kind of cool. Now, Bridgewater does actually kind of bridge real supernatural folklore and stuff with fiction. Does this balance actually work to enhance the horror aspects of this, or do you think it doesn't? And how do you think like these eerie entities, so whether it's the ghosts or the cryptids, legends, whatever, compare to other horror media based on myths? And which moment gave you the biggest chills?
I mean, for me, this balanced like the folklore, the horror, and quote unquote real life or the fiction real life, balanced it really well, because you didn't have like on and on horror,
Yeah.
folklore. You know, it balanced really well, and it's hard to find that balance between folklore, folklore, and real life. You're either getting one or the other, more of one or more of the other, and you get some, on the wayside, like, oh, that's what that was about. So for me, Aaron Mahnke and Lauren
Shippen,
they did a good job of writing and doing research and balancing out everything. Because you got to see, Jeremy's life, him dealing with people, his skepticism, and then you get to see like the horror side, and then you have like one person who gets kidnapped or abducted. He's saying it's aliens, and somebody else is like, it's pudgewudgies. It's actually pudgewudgies.
Yeah.
Okay. But I didn't really have a creepy moment in the whole thing. It actually entertained me more. Even though I had the surround sound, I felt like, there was like something behind me, but I was just more entertained and just listening to the story and then feeling, anger and, sympathy for Jeremy.
And frustration with him.
Anger because I'm like frustrated with him. And then you realize, oh shit, dude, you could have had a whole family right there. Right there.
Giving away spoilers. No, I'm joking. No,
I mean, if you haven't heard this by now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys have plenty of time. They're working on season 3, so.
But, you get frustrated with him, but you understand him because you're like, but ghosts aren't real. Cryptids aren't real. I haven't seen anything like that. And then, he, even if he gets slapped in the face with like, orbs and stuff, he's like, no, it's just flashlights, man. It's just flashlights. And then,
the way he tried to explain so many things, like, oh, we talked about this the day before. It's like, that's all it is. It was just my imagination getting away with me. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
And then there's Vippen. He's like, you need to have an open mind,
Poor Vippen. He's just like, can't you just try to believe?
Like, do you have any friends besides me?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. But he's like, open your mind, man. This is what, being a folklorist is about. You have to have an open mind. You can't just put, skepticism and science to everything. So for me, it balanced out everything. Everything was balanced.
Was there a moment that was your favorite, since none of it chilled you?
The fact that revelation that Anne is, related to him in a weird way. And that hit hard, because he could have had a family right there. He could have known his half sister. He could have known his niece and his nephew, but he's here by himself. Mom in California, him back home here, and he has nobody but Vippen, and that hurt.
Yeah,
like I felt his pain. I felt
hate his mom.
Rage. Oh yeah, his mom.
I don't like his mom.
His mom, like, oh, don't have contact with her. Yada yada yada. Man, mom, why? Give me a reason why. If you're not telling me why, I'm going to talk to that person anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, if she would have explained, this is what happened between me and your father, and this is why I don't like her, she could have been an adult about it. But no, she had a tantrum like a child and didn't want to talk about it.
And and just to think of like the rift that can happen from just Anne's side of the family, finding out that, oh, hey, we have somebody, there's going to be blame on Anne. And I personally, just the way that all the characters were shown here in this first one, really to me makes it known that it was Jeremy's mom that was like, you're not going to tell them.
Yeah.
You're going to keep this from them. Because I have a feeling Anne would have been perfectly okay telling them and, letting them have each other.
Right.
But Anne also pissed me off because she didn't tell her child, this is your father. Yeah, he disappeared. And yeah, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Well, she couldn't. Because if she did, then her daughter could have gone and told Jeremy, hey, I'm your half sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then all that. Plus, spoilers for season 2. we found out a few things that's like, I can see why she made the decision not to tell, but I think the majority of the pressure was because of Jeremy's mom. Lysa, your turn though. You get to tell us what you think about the blend of the real life supernatural stuff, the fiction, and all the cryptids and stuff, and what was your spookiest moment?
Okay, well, I think the blend was very well. They did so much research and they blended it with the fiction so well that it's believable.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like you're there. And it's just like, you want to visit that place, but then you're thinking about this and you're like, maybe I don't want to visit this place.
Mm-hmm.
It flowed very well. And like Karan said, sometimes there's too much folklore and not enough horror. And there's the horror, and not enough folklore.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a really great job, especially with the characters, the way they interacted together. Yes, I don't like his mom at all. Scariest moment. That I was, like Karan said, I was more entertained.
Mm-hmm.
But one of my favorite parts is when Shippen got attacked in the swamp because he was stupid and he wanted to prove it to Jeremy, so he went off in the swamp by himself. And I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. I'm thinking this in my head. And spoiler alert, yeah. And then the way the doctor explained, oh, it was just an owl attack. And I'm like going, no, it wasn't. And I know Jeremy saw something and he still does not want to accept it. And it drives me crazy because I feel like I'm kind of X-filing again. Like, it's switched. Anne is the one at Mulder and Jeremy's like, so that amused me a lot because it was like, oh, come on, that wasn't an owl. That wasn't an owl.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and one of those, like, it wasn't an owl.
Yeah, and actually at that point, I had my headphones on completely, and I heard over the phone, and that was creepy because it sounded like it was right behind me. So,
yeah, I didn't have anything that like spooked me, but there was a lot of moments that it was immersive. Like you felt like you were in the woods with them. You felt like you were in that moment with the characters, but the blend of it all was so well balanced that it makes it extremely easy to consume. I think they did a fantastic job just balancing it all out. I think they did a really great job with the variety of cryptids and ghosts and legends. I think they did a really great job representing it all and representing it in a way where you have to use your imagination to figure out which cryptid or whatever it was. So like the big black dog, like they're in the way that one person would describe it, you're like, oh, it's definitely like a Cerberus 3-headed dog kind of deal. And then like the way somebody else would describe it, I'm like, that sounds more like a hellhound.
Yeah.
But like a massive hellhound, not a Cerberus. Okay, wait a second. So I thought that was really cool that they made it so the cryptids still had some mysteriousness to them.
mm-hmm.
And comparing it to like a lot of other like horror media things, when it comes to like myths and stuff, like they always kind of put like their own like little twist. Here, it's like they've taken all sorts of different legends and kind of put it all together and are letting you almost decide which one it is. But it's still based on real life myths and legends and things like that. We've already kind of talked about Mr. Jeremy Bradshaw and his skepticism.
Mhm.
Both Aaron and Lauren in the interviews I saw said that they were massive fans of the X-Files growing up. So they loved having that skeptic turn believer kind of thing. So they grew up watching that. So if you guys listen to this and you're like, oh man, like I can see the X-Files influence, it's meant to be there. And they actually think it's an honor that people do have that. I can see the connection kind of deal. Let's kind of talk about how the podcast actually uses Jeremy's journey from pure skeptic to eventually full believer, his personal trauma, his father's disappearance, the classic missing persons trope, to create the story that is extremely emotionally driven throughout the entire thing. Like emotionally, you are attached to what is happening. So how do you guys feel about that whole thing and how it comes about? Lysa, do you want to start?
Sure. I really do like how he starts as a complete skeptic, but you can see when you're listening, you can see how every once in a while he starts questioning himself more and more and more. And it's just this emotional evolution. And I think there's certain, oh God, what is the word? I just want like certain things that trigger him.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was in the woods with Bippin and you knew he was right there at the edge and then he stopped. But you get so invested in his journey that you just holding your breath, waiting for him to finally go, aha.
Yeah.
I really think they did a fantastic job of it.
Karen, how about you?
So his journey was the one I see with some friends of mine when we go like ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
They go from skeptic to believer. And of course, that's like a short amount of time, you know. His was took days. And that's more believable than watching something that takes a few hours. But for him, you know, even though he's presented with all this evidence, he still has this wall blocking him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, once he sees Celeste throw herself into the vortex and see his father come out, that's when his mind's like, oh, oh, oh. You can almost see, like sense that his mind is breaking at that point. And I feel sorry for him, you know.
Homeboy crashed out so many times.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
You were like, oh, man, Jeremy, come on.
But at the same time, homeboy never got a break.
Yeah, he did not. He did not.
No,
It didn't. It couldn't give him like a day or so. No, it was like, buddy, we have like a missing person. We have the gathering. We have lights hitting you. You get hit by some sort of deer. We think it's a deer. It might have been a big dog. Might have been a person. We don't know. We don't know.
I mean, I have my opinion on what it was.
Yeah, me too. So his skepticism, you know, from trauma, skeptic, more trauma to believer, that I actually kind of like that whole balance that they did.
Yeah. The frustration I had was usually because he was refusing to accept what literally just happened right in front of him.
Yeah.
Like the dog situation when he saved Vippin. I'm sitting here going, how are you denying that? How are you blatantly going, nah, that's not what it was? The fuck? It was.
I know, right?
Dude, like, you know what you saw. You were confident in what you saw right after it happened. But a nurse is like, oh, it was just an owl attack. That happens all the time.
No, it
does not. Yeah, so there was...
Let me see how often owls attack.
I've got to hear this one.
Owl attacks on humans are extremely rare, with most incidents occurring during nesting season, when owls are protecting their young in territory. But it's rare. So I'm like, was it nesting season? I don't think it was.
Didn't even the...
Yeah, the nurse said it was nesting something.
Yeah, like, oh, maybe you got too close to the nest, or... I don't know. There was a few things that, like, the nurse said that, like, I guess if you hadn't been dealing with all the supernatural stuff, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
But then at the same time, I'm sitting here going, you've been dealing with a lot of timey-wimey supernatural why haven't you called the Winchesters yet? Bullshit.
I'm like, yeah, Castiel, come on.
Like, I'm sitting here going, when you've been dealing with all of this, having somebody say, oh, it's just an owl attack. No. Like, I get maybe saving face in front of the nurse and being like, oh, okay, great. Thanks for letting us know. But like, once you get back with your group of friends, your little Scooby-Doo gang, who's like trying to like solve all this,
Oh, I know.
don't you dare be denying it.
I was like, no, that wasn't an owl attack. That was not an owl attack, dear.
No.
And Vipin's even going, would you listen to me?
I mean, poor Vippin.
He is a sweet little cinnamon roll, and if Jeremy doesn't get his head out of his ass, he's gonna lose that cute little guy.
Yep.
I
It's
love me
TA.
some Vippin. He's the sweetest
too.
little nugget. Like, I want to smack Jeremy for Vippin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you be mean to him? He's a
Right?
sweet angel baby.
Yeah. I was like, damn. I would have left a long time ago if you've been treating me like this, but no, I'm your
Oh,
only
I know,
friend.
right?
Yeah.
Because you have no friends.
Right? It's like, maybe that's why he doesn't have any friends. Just saying.
Could be. Could be.
But I do think that Jeremy's story does pander to a great classic horror narrative that is emotionally driven, because you feel bad. He's this kid who got lost in the woods, and not long after that, his dad went missing and presumed dead. And then he had to live his life without his dad, who you could tell he had a strong connection to, even though he was just a little kid. And that pulls on the heartstrings. Like, even when he's a little bit of an asshole, you're like,
40 years.
yeah, but he didn't have his dad to smack him upside the head and tell him to quit being a jerk. So
True.
And I get having things like that happen. You don't know how you're going to respond in the moment. So I get it. But at the same time, I'm just like, dude, remove head from ass. Like, I swear, it's going to help you out in the long run. Lysa, you've already kind of mentioned it, and we've talked about the importance of sound and how important the audio dramas are for sound when we did our Darkest Night podcast review. How does this podcast use the atmospheric sound to design to build the tension? And were there any moments that truly you were just like, okay, they did too good with that sound?
I think for me, it was like when they're in the woods walking and being slowly stalked by something, and poor Anne falling down in some sort of hole.
Right?
And then Vippin
Right?
falls down and gets attacked by something and falls in a hole.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are these holes that y'all falling in?
Exactly.
Yep.
But that made my heart stop, because like she falls in a hole and then he's calling and then he gets attacked while on the call. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
What's attacking him? But the sound quality is really, you do have to wear headphones.
Mhm.
It's recommended that you wear
Yeah.
wear headphones. Or if you have surround sound, play it with surround sound.
Yeah, this is definitely a headphone or surround sound audio. It's still fine if you don't. Please note, like, it's not like it completely distracts from the storytelling if you don't, but it's definitely not as good or as immersive if you don't do the headphones. So definitely
Do that.
definitely do the headphones.
You should definitely do the headphones, because there are some little things like when they're walking in the woods and they're falling in the holes. And if I hadn't have been wearing the headphones when I was listening to his call with Vippin, I probably wouldn't have heard that creature as much. And it sounded like it was right there. It sounded like it was behind me.
Yeah.
And it actually panicked me, because I'm like, what the hell? They're immersive, makes the story even better. So surround sound, headphones.
Yeah.
Their little Foley artists that do all those sounds and get all that are freaking awesome. They do a fantastic job.
They do.
So headphones or surround sounds, guys.
In comparison to The Darkest Night, I don't want to say it's as good. I think The Darkest Night hit like a different level. Personally, this is really, really good when it comes to the sound. The quality is like right there. And I will agree, like when they're in the forest, I think that is when they have like the best audio surround type thing going on. That's usually when it's like, okay, cool, cool, cool. So definitely would not recommend walking your dog while listening to this because it will make you be a little bit more over the shoulder, going, hey, what's following me? Is anything there? But they did a really good job also with the balance of it. I didn't feel like a lot of the background noise overtook the characters' voices either. Like you could still hear them talking or screaming or whatever it was that they were doing in those moments, which isn't always the case. Like sometimes the other noise, especially for me as somebody who's ADHD, and if you have too much noise all at one time, I don't hear anything. Like this actually was well balanced enough that I didn't have that feel of, oh, I can't understand what they're saying. I know they're saying things. It was really well balanced. Let's talk about the cast. How does the performance of the Bridgewater cast enhance the storytelling and the atmosphere of the series? Do their portrayals make the horror feel believable? What are our thoughts on the cast?
I mean, I love the cast. I
Mhm.
love their works, but there are some parts of it that didn't make it feel horror for me. It made me feel
Okay.
entertained, but I didn't feel that horror aspect in some of the parts. I feel like most of them were like having a conversation until they got to the action sequence when they're getting hit by something, falling down and stuff like that. That's when I
Mhm.
started getting that whole actiony sense, the dread of being stalked and all that.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, I was like, when I was listening to Misha, I was like, man, that's the same voice for Castiel. That
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
couldn't, if he would have used his normal voice for Jeremy, I would have been okay. I'd be like,
Mhm.
that sounds like an everyday man. Awesome. And, Vipin sounds like, a 20-year-old TA or 25-year-old TA getting his degree in whatever he's doing, statistics,
Mhm.
and he's just there to like make more money.
Which is fair.
The voice that actually surprised me the most was the lady who did Anne, because Anne
Yeah.
sounded so much like another voice actor that I know. And I was like, it has to be her. And I looked her up, I was like, oh, that's not her.
No, she's from Teen Wolf.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she looks so familiar. But I was thinking of her as another actor, Jane Lynch.
Mm.
They have that same voice. And I thought it was Jane Lynch, from the jump until I saw, the cast. And I was like, oh, that's not Jane Lynch. But this is still good.
Yes. Very good.
And then you have, Nathan Fallon as the dad. You could hear the maturity between, Misha and, his father, Jeremy and his father. You could hear that deeper, mature tone. You know what I'm saying? Where, as older you get, your voice starts to sound different. And I actually like that comparison between, Misha and Nathan, because they sound like Misha, Jeremy sounds like he's, in his 40s, and Nathan, when he disappeared, still sounded like he was in his 40s. So you get that contrast until you get to like season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Nathan, unfortunately, was not able to join season 2. He started recording a different show or
Yeah.
filming for a different show. And so he wasn't able to join. And this was a pandemic project, guys. So,
Yeah.
like, you have to also understand, like, there was probably going to have to be some replacing because of projects and all that kind of stuff. And on top of that, like, even like the SAG strike would have affected this. This would be part of like the SAG stuff. It sucks that he wasn't able to join, but I'm not completely disappointed with who replaced him. But we'll talk
Yeah.
about that when we get to season 2.
But I was glad that, Vipin came back. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the majority of the cast came back. Lisa, how about you? What did you think?
I think the cast did pretty good. I agree there was a lot of talking and it kind of took away from the horror aspect. It was definitely entertaining though. It was good character development. I did like the combination, the Jeremy's dad talking on the thing. You could tell the differences in the voices and everything. All in all, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think they all did a good job. I mean, I connected with most all the characters. I really like Anne. Anne is probably one of my favorites, though.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a great character.
The voice actor who did it, she did a fantastic job because I actually understood. I kind of felt for her. I sympathized with her. I felt like I could be her character.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. I mean, she sounds like a woman who was on the force. She's lived a tough life. Like, she sounds like a hard ass.
Yep.
Like,
even though everyone thinks she's crazy, but she's not.
Yeah.
Because she understood,
Yeah, exactly.
But no, she did a fantastic job with it. I honestly, for the most part, they all did a great job doing their characters. Even Misha, like with the things that I didn't like that he did, you still had emotional reactions to his character, which to me says he did his job. Because that's what a role of an actor is it's supposed to engage you and get a reaction from you. But I agree with you, Karen. It was Castiel 2.0.
Yeah.
Like it, and honestly, it wasn't even far off from his character in Gotham. Like, I just felt like it was just a slightly different font. Like, same font, but just like slightly different. If that makes sense.
Squiggly line.
Yeah.
Just like a line and squiggly line. Okay.
Like this is the italic version,
like
Helvetica stands.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it was just one of those, like, I don't want to say that like he's a one-note actor because he's not. I've seen him in other things and it wasn't Castiel. But this very, very much had Castiel vibes. And so I was a little disappointed that was kind of what I was getting. But the cast overall, I think, does a fantastic job in making sure that you understand what they're saying and how they're saying it and the emotion that is behind each line that they have. So overall, the cast knocked it out of the park for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask a what if. If this got expanded into other horror subgenres, so body horror, psychological, slasher, etc., which direction would you like it to take? And or if it were brought to the screen, and so it go beyond just audio, what things would you like it to add to make it even spookier?
I mean, for me, the spookiest thing, besides psychological horror, because not a lot of people do psychological horror, would be body horror, because they could see and cringe at the fact that your body is changing into something that you don't want it to change into. Because you could actually see the change in the person. You could actually almost feel what that person's going through, because it's a human body. You have a human body. You have bones. You have skin. You have, muscle and all that. So just to see something transform in front of you, that's scary, because it could happen to you. And what was really funny, because after I was like listening to, Bridgewater, hoping for season 3, like I kind of fangirled it a bit, like fan fiction, because I put myself in that situation as a new character. And she actually helps them, go through whatever they have to go through. And she actually fights the beast off. And one of the things that my character had was unusually elongated canines. Come to find out, she's part right where.
Okay.
Because Vippen was like, "You just tore that thing throats out with your teeth. You just tore that thing's throat out with your teeth. Is that the reason why you like to chew on things? You know what? You could chew on things forever. I'll buy you some jerky." Because like the character has a penchant of like eating a lot of jerky and chewing on it, because where her teeth is, it hurts when she's not having something to bite down on, because her teeth is constantly growing. Like how those warthogs, if they don't get their tusks, hers are kind of like that, but they just hurt. Hers isn't like constantly growing; it's just they hurt. So she's sitting there always chewing on something, and at one point she's chewing on styrofoam. And he's like, "Really? He's gonna chew on styrofoam?" Like, okay, you know what? I'm sorry I made fun of you. You can chew on whatever you want. You saved us. Cool. But yeah, I would love to see body horror. I would love to see like the cryptids that come in, like somebody was like Bigfoot. It's like, yeah, I'm a Bigfoot. Could you like imagine somebody growing into like 7 foot tall, 8 foot tall beast, and then they have the hair just kind of come out of every single follicle?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That would creep me
Yeah.
out. I'm like, ooh, this hair's no. Just having a
Is it
person grow
is
8 feet tall.
is there a direction you'd want the series to take?
I want them to like bring that little boy back out. And they need to come up with another name for the gathering, okay? I'm like, let's
I
do
don't
the
know. I kind of
gathering.
like it.
I'm like, are we going to the gathering? Like, are we gathering together? Are we talking about the occult gathering? Like,
But I mean, that's why I kind of like it, where it's like kind of crazy, innocuous kind of thing.
yeah.
But yeah.
But I did like the whole title, The Daughters of Tituba, or the somethings of Tituba. That was
Yeah.
actually pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's a good name for an occult. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hate that it was used for
Nefarious purposes.
nefarious. Yeah, especially when like that actual real individual was 100% innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just kind of makes me go, did you have to do it that way? I mean, I know like these people are horrible people anyways, like so they're gonna do something horrible like that, but use one of the white ladies. Like you had options.
Yeah, they had options.
They had options.
But the thing
They
is, if you think about Tituba, the name sounds more mysterious
Yeah.
Yeah.
than the other girl's
Then
name.
Sarah.
Than Sarah. You're like, oh, that's not a cult.
Yeah, it just didn't sit right with me. But I get it.
I mean, I got it. I mean, it was like, could be on something else, but
yeah.
Unless they bring in more worshippers, worshippers of Tituba, but they're not the nefarious kind. They're like, yeah, they were an off branch. Let's not talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how the gathering was with them. They're like, no, they were not with us. Some of our members might have overlapped, but they were not with us.
No, they were not with us.
No.
We tried to eradicate them.
I definitely agree with Karen. Body horror. I'd like to see more body horror. And like she said, turning into an 8-foot tall Bigfoot would be like this stretching, and I could just imagine. And as far I'd like to see that. I'd like to see more of the gathering, the culty stuff. I think a little bit more of that would be great. I really like Celeste, the feel of Celeste, because she kind of had that. I don't know. There's just something about her that I liked. As far as film is concerned, if they were to do film, I would like to see more cryptids, but with, of course, practical effects and not CGI. Less CGI and more like shadowy atmosphere to kind of play tricks of the light to make it creepier, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So
are you sure you saw that? Or
yeah, it would be good as a TV show.
It would.
Yeah, it'd be better as a TV show.
It'd make a great TV show. I mean, I like how like even in this series, each episode kind of like almost like centers on a type of cryptid or a type of lore, and it doesn't. You don't have like them talking about everything all at once and like blending it all together. It's very much like, okay, this episode they're sticking to the big black dog for this episode, and then like the next episode is the Pudwudgies, and then the next episode is the Thunderbirds. Like they pick a different cryptid for almost each episode, and I kind of dig that. There's two ways that they could go with this. They could go like full hardcore into like monster horror and have it be more about the cryptids and like having a lot more of all of that. Or I can almost see them turning it into a comedy. Like it's getting to that point where it could almost become like a weird comedy of some sort. Kind of like how in the X-Files, like there were moments where it's like, okay, this is like almost like a comedy. That's what I mean by comedy. Not like dick and fart jokes or not like Shaun of the Dead. Like, I don't know. I could just see it being a little bit more humorous, but I think it all kind of depends on where they want to take the story on like what kind of subgenre I would like to see pop up more. But I think the continued use of a little bit of that psychological works well for them. I think it as we've said from our second episode, horror is about perspective and your personal perceiving of things is scarier than anything else. So the continued of the psychological and maybe even making it a little bit deeper would be cool. And I would love to see this as a TV series. I think they could do quite a bit with it, especially since there's so many angles that they could go with. Like they could have it be based off of the journal entries from the gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't even have to be straight up like what with Jeremy and Anne and all that kind of stuff. Like that could be part of one of the seasons, but let's talk about the gathering back in 1970s or 40 years before that and 40 years before that. Like give us some history, maybe go in the future.
Yeah, give me a little bit of history. Like,
yeah.
It takes place in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me some history on like how they become about, who started it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Why?
Like how the Wapano dealt with this 40-year thing that they've just kind of discovered. There's a lot that they could do. And I would love to see them just kind of keep expanding it. I mean, obviously there needs to be an end to it. Like this is not it would not be a TV series where I'm like, I want like 20 seasons. No, this would be one that I'm like, let's max it out at 5 because I think if you go past that, like we're gonna get lost in the narrative, But yeah. Before we wrap up, one question. Did the season finale deliver on the suspense and supernatural buildup, or did it leave you just screaming?
Yeah, I went
in a good way or a bad
2.
way. Doesn't matter. Like
I went to season 2 because I wanted to know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what? No, you can't leave. Like when I first listened to it, it was like there's only one season, and I was like, and then now I have like season 2. I don't have to like, I could go straight into the season 2. I'm like, yes, and now I'm like waiting for season.
Chopping the bit for season 3,
and I'm like, Misha, you're executive producer. Can we get some work? It's like I will be an extra voice actor if you need me to.
Right.
Just please, let's get season 3.
Lysa, how about you?
Oh yeah, it's I did kind of scream. It's like, what? That's it? So now I got to listen to season 2.
Yeah.
I despise cliffhangers, especially if I think that they're not going to be finished. I don't like leaving anything unfinished.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was good. It did build you up.
Yeah, it did. It did build things up, and it did build it to the point where you're like, motherfuckers, this is how you're ending it?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
God damn it, I gotta keep listening.
Well, we can't keep listening because they don't have a season 2 yet.
Yeah. Well, I was able to listen to season 2. I want season 3.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will. I'll kind of spoil this for you guys. If they didn't go to a season 3, there are a lot of things that kind of got wrapped up. There's still like stuff that needs to be resolved, but like it's just trauma that everybody has to deal with. But no, I liked how they built it up. I enjoyed that little bit of, oh shit, Tom's out. So, it was cool. I was kind of happy that like, okay, that's how it ended. Great. Now I need the rest. Give it to me now.
I want little Anton out. Anton. I want that little boy out.
So, final thoughts on season 1 of Bridgewater.
I enjoyed this podcast. When I first listened to it, I thought it was like, true crime, and then I started listening to it, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not true crime. This is a horror podcast." Mm-hmm. Yay! And I listened to it. I fell in love with it. At the time, didn't have a season 2. I've been waiting for season 2, and season 2 finally came out. And I told you all about it. And I listened to it again. You miss stuff when you like listen to the for the first
Mm-hmm.
time. When I listened to the second time, I was like, "Oh, I missed that part. How did I
Yeah.
miss that?" But season 2, it's great. Season 3 has yet to be announced because I just looked it up.
Or acknowledged.
Or acknowledged.
Yeah.
They just can't end it like that. They still have some stuff to tie up.
Yeah. Like, just give us at least one more season.
Yeah. Then
and
you can
tie it up.
That's when you could do your tie up.
Yeah. And what's your rating? How many skulls?
I was thoroughly entertained. I love the audio surround sound of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't creeped out in like certain parts. I did have most emotional attachment to some of the characters, like Vipin.
Yeah.
Felt frustrated with Jeremy, and I felt sad for him when it was realized, oh, you're my stepmom, or could have been
Mm-hmm.
stepmom. So for me, it was a 4.5.
Okay.
I would have given it a 5 if I had a little bit more of the creepiness that most horror gives me. But yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Lysa, how about you?
Okay, I definitely recommend this 100%. It was fantastic. Wear headphones or have surround sound to give you a little bit more of the atmosphere of it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely attached to the characters 100%. Love Vipin. Jeremy frustrates me. I love Van. And, I hate Jeremy's mom. But I definitely recommend it 100%. It was, I really didn't realize when I started listening to it, I thought it was a true crime thing. And then it started getting X-Files, and that was it. That was it. I just dove right in and just stopped reading the book I was reading and started listening to this, which is funny. So I would give it a 4.5 because it was a little atmospheric, but it wasn't as creepy as I would have wanted it to be. I would have liked it a little bit creepier, but it's, yeah.
Okay. A 4.25. It's not quite a 0.5 for me. I think my frustration with Jeremy / Misha kind of took away from me because I was listening to it the one time while I was in the shower, and I had to re-listen to that episode because I ended up ranting in the shower at Jeremy. Where I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, it kind of like took me out for a second. I'm just like, okay. It isn't spooky, scary story time for me. It has a lot of horror elements, but it didn't make me unnerved the way like Darkest Night did on some of its episodes, where you just kind of like, oh, I feel creeped out, or I get the chilly, or things like that, where okay, it's obvious like there's like a scare thing there, but it has the potential, and it's got a lot in. And I'm somebody who, like you guys, we've watched some really scary, gory, horrific things. So it takes a lot to get us like to actually be scared and spooked and like uneased. So I also kind of take that into consideration when I'm like, I don't really find it too spooky. Like my mom would probably find this to be absolutely horrific. So it's like, okay. But yeah, I'd give it a 4.25. So our lovely little ghouls, have you listened to Bridgewater? What is your favorite legend from the Bridgewater Triangle that they talked about in this series? Come tell us on our social media. You can find us where we are on our social medias. We have Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads. Our Facebook group is always hopping. We are on Blue Sky. You can also subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Apple, Google, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. Come chit chat with us there. We do answer the comments. Ladies, where can they find y'all at? Lysa?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Threads. And that's pretty much it right now.
Okay. Karan, where can they find you?
Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit.
Rock on. I am Shannon. You can find me on all the things at Spilled Tea Wine Media Mind. And as always, before we go, thank you. You guys are amazing. We love you guys joining us for every episode and liking and sharing and subscribing. It really does mean the world to us. So we just really appreciate your support. So stay spooky, our lovely little ghouls.
And this has been the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.